Every empire thought it would last forever, from the ones chiseled in stone by hand to the ones built on promises whispered on the wind. They all believed they were different. They all believed they were eternal, but they all fell. And if you think ours won't, think again. Empires are a lot like us. They rise and fall. The question is, can we learn from their downfall, or are we next? From Rome to the Soviet Union, history whispers a brutal truth. Empires rise, empires fall. The names change, the faces change, but the fall remains the same. Societies that once controlled vast swathes of the world are now ghosts and echoes. Why? How does a power so vast crumble? That's what we're here to find out. Buried within their ruins are the keys to understanding our own future. Ignoring them, that's a one-way ticket to repeating the past. And trust me, we're better than that. Let's talk about Rome. They built roads, aqueducts, structures so magnificent they still stand today. But Rome, for all its glory, was built on a foundation of sand. Corruption, greed, and a widening gap between the haves and the have-nots ate away at Rome's core. The very institutions that once held the empire together became breeding grounds for division and decay. They were so busy expanding their borders, they forgot to tend their own gardens. Rome, in the end, wasn't conquered. It collapsed under its own weight, a victim of its own hubris. From the steppes of Central Asia, they exploded onto the world stage. The Mongols, led by Genghis Khan, they conquered more land in a single lifetime than Rome did in centuries. They were masters of warfare, their cavalry moving with a speed and ferocity that defied belief. But their very strength contained the seeds of their own destruction. The Mongols were conquerors, not builders. Their empire, vast and sprawling, was held together by fear and the force of Genghis Khan's iron will. But when he died, so too did their unity. The empire fractured, consumed by the very flames it had ignited. A searing lesson in the fleeting nature of power. The sun never sets on the British Empire. It was a boast, a declaration of power, a testament to an empire that spanned the globe. From London they controlled trade routes, commanded the seas, and their influence touched every corner of the world. They brought technology, innovation, and yes, their share of darkness. But even empires built on such a foundation are not immune to the tide of history. Control cracks when people rise. Nationalism surged, fueled by resentment and a yearning for self-determination. And slowly, surely the sun began to set on the British Empire. It wasn't a sudden collapse, but a gradual unraveling. The Soviet Union emerged from the ashes of World War II as a superpower, a counterweight to the West. They reached for the stars, putting the first man in space. But behind the facade of progress and equality, a darker truth festered. The Soviet Union was built on fear. Fear of dissent, fear of the outside world, fear of the very people it claimed to represent. They suppressed individuality, crushed opposition, and erected walls to keep the world at bay. But walls can't hold back the human spirit forever. The Soviet system, for all its initial successes, was unsustainable. In the end, it wasn't tanks or missiles that brought down the Soviet Union, but the courage of its own people. We look at the ruins of empires past and tell ourselves, we're different. We've learned from their mistakes. But have we? The warning signs are flashing. We're living in a world of widening inequality. We're facing environmental challenges that threaten our civilization. And we're more divided than ever. History doesn't offer easy answers, but it does offer a stark warning. Empires that fail to adapt, fail to learn, are doomed to repeat the mistakes of the past. Here's the thing about history. It's not some dusty old book. We're living it. Every single day we're writing the next chapter. Are we going to be another cautionary tale, or are we going to learn from the past? History isn't over. We're still writing it. The choice is ours. Imagine archaeologists thousands of years from now, picking through the rubble of our civilization. What will they find? What stories will they tell about us? Will we be remembered for our technological marvels, our artistic achievements, our capacity for compassion? Or will we be just another footnote in the long, bloody history of empires? The choices we make today will determine the fate of our tomorrow. So, let's make sure we leave them something worth finding. Thinking about the rise and fall of empires can be bleak, but here's the thing. We're not just passive observers. We're active participants. We have a voice. We have a choice. The empires of the past left us lessons. Lessons written in stone. Lessons whispered on the wind. So, let's learn from them. Let's build a future that's worthy of the sacrifices of those who came before us.